Welcome back. Jim Chalmers says the government's bumper surplus shows we don't need to choose between responsible economic management and compassion in what some see as a hint towards further cost of living relief. Sure, no, we need it. Joining us to discuss today's headlines is Northern Territory Senator Malindiri McCarthy in Darwin and editor of Stellar magazine Sarah Marquand in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you both for your time.
Good morning.
Now, Malindiri, a $20 billion surplus coming. Can we expect relief will follow?
Well, isn't that quite exciting, Sarah? It's good to be able to speak about that, actually, given we haven't had a projected surplus in so long. So well done to the Treasurer, and of course, I have no doubt that he's acutely aware, Sarah, of the pressures on families right across the country. And we're certainly trying to deliver in lots of other areas in terms of childcare this month, certainly with cheaper medicines. And no doubt there will be lots of advocacy of the Treasurer to make sure that we do see some more relief in sight in the future.
There has been some criticism, I suppose, on perhaps getting the priorities right and not necessarily focusing on a surplus, but rather addressing those cost of living pressures that are hurting so many Aussies at the moment.
Well, there's always going to be some kind of criticism, Sarah, and you'd expect that in the world of politics. But I firmly am of the view that the Treasurer definitely knows what he's doing, and also our Finance Minister, Katie Gallagher, who's certainly always pursuing in the interest of the area of women, as her role as Minister for Women as well, that we have to look at the care economy, and that's what we've been dealing with.
Sarah, this doesn't necessarily mean a whole bunch of clear air ahead. The Treasurer has warned of turbulence coming. Do you think they should be focused on easing the pressure on households instead at the moment?
Absolutely. I mean, look, I do agree with the assessment that compassion shouldn't be mutually exclusive to sensible economic management. I think that the two goals are compatible, and that we as a civilised country should take care of our people while also making sure that, you know, we're not left in the red. But we've already been feeling turbulence. I mean, if you're on a plane and they say turbulence ahead, you tighten your seatbelt, and Australians have already been tightening their belts, you know, to use the economic cliche. So I think if we're seeing this sort of surplus, that a lot of us consumers would like to see you know, housing relief and some sort of offset to the cost of living crisis that we're really all feeling.
And it is difficult as well when you're trying to make inflation a little bit easier as well. All right, well, let's move on now. And the public sector pay packets are under the spotlight this morning. Former Victorian Premier Jeff Kennett saying those who choose to work from home should have their salaries cut. Malindiri, if you work from home, you don't have to pay for a bus or a train fare, for example, or petrol to drive. So should they get a pay cut?
Well, you could flip it again too, Sarah, and go, well, for employers, they don't have to pay for the electricity if those people aren't working from work, the IT, certainly, you know, even bathroom upkeep and cleaning and all of that. So I think it's a conversation that's there for everyone to have, and it's a good conversation. If you think just only a couple of years ago we were all very concerned about the pandemic, and rightly so, and if we can now move forward and go, well, this is a conversation for the whole country. Families, people who want to be able to work at home, people who'd like to still go to work. What about our young people? Is that a good culture for them to sort of be introduced into if they haven't worked before in their lives? I think this is a conversation for everyone, and that means employers, unions and employees. I
mean, it's a real shift, isn't it, Sarah? Flexibility is, of course, very important, but the good old-fashioned work ethos as well shouldn't be forgotten, right? I mean, we know that a lot of workplaces are trying to introduce this return to work. As Sydney Council last week faced a lot of revolt from their staff, for example. Do you think we're going to go back there?
Well, I always think when we're talking about this, as someone that does have the privilege of blended working, where at my company, you know, we do 3 to 4 days in the office and then a day from home, I think, obviously, I acknowledge that that is a luxury that not everyone has. Obviously, we all know there's a lot of people working in hospitality, retail, nurses, teachers, construction that don't have that capacity. I think if you do have an office job or something where there is potential to work from home, that you shouldn't be penalised for that. I think this concept from Kennett that you be docked for it is really ridiculous. And it shows to me it's a very old-fashioned evaluation of productivity. As a manager, I measure my staff's performance on productivity. You know, not whether they're sitting at the desk, not whether I can see them. If you're working hard, it's pretty obvious. I think blended working is the way to go. And I think that probably also takes care of a lot of what you're talking about, Sarah, is that you do need collaboration. And I think especially for young people, don't you think? I'm really conscious you need that mentoring.
Absolutely.
But I think saying to people, oh, you're not going to get full pay, you know, if you're not in the office every day, it's very regressive. I agree with Mal and Derry. It's also overlooking the cost that you pay as an employee if you are working from home.
All right, interesting. Well, what about this, guys? Select retailers in the US are introducing a new type of payment system. Have a look.
There's this new technology that lets you connect your credit card and your ID to your palm so that you don't have to carry any credit cards with you anymore. You don't even have to have your phone with you. This is my total. This is my palm. This is me scanning it.
What? I mean, the palm payment technology has sparked a lot of mixed reactions, as you can imagine. I mean, Sarah, using your palm to pay, it's like all that ID.
How does it even physically work? I mean, I'd love to know how it works. Look, I'm so old school. I was in the supermarket on the weekend and I paid with cash. Okay, and
What's that?
Exactly. And the cashier was so confused. Do you know where they were? They don't even manually take that. You had to put that through a machine.
Really?
So, look, if I'm so old school that I'm still using, you know, dollars, then this whole palm thing, no.
I mean, Mel and Derry, I don't pay with cash. I use my tap and go all the time. But palm, I reckon, is now next level.
I know,
I'm not there
Sarah,
for it.
I'm sorry. I was so fascinated by this when I was looking at it this morning, and I just thought of things like, oh my gosh, you know, like our world is changing so rapidly around technology. You know, we use facial ID and recognition for different things, and you know, certainly the thumb, different things. You know, if you're going through customs, and now the palm, and I thought, well, then I kind of went to, well, what about when the power outages are there? What happens? Do we still have to revert back to money? And then in the article, someone talked about, you know, next minute there'll be all sorts of, you know, underlying thoughts like, what if people want to remove your hand to use that to steal your money? And I just thought, oh my gosh, you know, like there is so much to discuss around this, and yeah, I'm quite fascinated by it.
Oh, I don't know if I like it. All right, thank you both so much for your time. Carl, talk to the hand.
Yeah, the bloody banks will end up charging you for a high five.
Yeah, that's right. Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and...
What's my name again?
Oh my goodness, Carl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports and amazing Aussie stories.
And Carl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
that never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?
Always happens.